In our day-to-day activities, you hear people say, I'm going to organize A, B, and C. Let's organize a party. Let's do A, B, and C. We want to go to Naivasha. Who is going to organize for us? So in simple terms, what is organizing? Organizing is one of the functions of management. And the main focus of organizing is to be able to bring resources together, so that once you have those resources together, by pooling the resources, you can be able to achieve more with those resources. So at the end of this topic, we will be able to understand the organizing process. Remember, organizing is not a one thing or a one-step function. There is a process for organizing resources within the organization. Then we shall also be able to understand the importance of organizing. Why is organizing important? Why should managers come up with a framework of organizing their resources? You need to understand why, the why. Then the other thing is organizational structure and design. Different organizations have different structure based on the size of the organization or the complexity of that organization. So if you're a big organization, your structure will be very complex. And in simple terms, structure is like a chain of command, a hierarchy, so that you know who is supposed to report to whom and at what time. And we also have the design, different designs that you can put in place. The other thing we will talk about is the principle of organizing, the principles of organizing. So let's jump into understanding what is organizing. So by definition, organizing basically is the second function of managers. So as a manager, you need to understand the various aspects of organizing, so that at the end of the day, your main focus is to be able to bring the resources on board, be able to allocate those resources. And by allocating resources, it means at the end of the day, you'll be able to carry out various activities or plans within the organization. So by definition, we can say this is the process of coordinating and allocating funds resources in order to carry out its plan. So as an organization, you have a plan in place that you want to achieve at the end of the day. So by this, then it means you need resources to be able to achieve some of these plans. And remember, we talked about different resources that can be in an organization. We talked about different resources. And one of the resources we were saying is the financial resource. Financial resource. So we talked about financial resources. Let me just include them there. Financial resources. We also talked about physical resources. And lastly, we talked about the human resource. So all these resources play a very critical role. And when we talk about financial resource, what comes into our mind is money. So the money that you need to have to achieve your objective as an organization. And this money can only be budgeted for in an organization. You can budget for it so that every year you have a budget on what you want to achieve at the end of the day. For example, if you are in marketing, there is something that you need to achieve maybe in the next financial year. So this year you need to start preparing your plans, your various marketing plans. So once you have the plans on board, you need to document those plans and share the same plans to procurement. And procurement will be able to bring those plans together, consolidate the plans together, and share the same to the financial department, who will allocate the financial resource. So that when you start that financial year, it becomes easy to be able to maximize your activity, so that it shouldn't reach at the quarter of the year and you already finished your financial resource. How then will you survive? Not unless there is something that is urgent that took your financial resource away, then you need to come up with what is called a supplementary, a budget for the same. Then the second one is what is called the physical resources. And these are materials that are required, tangible materials that are required within the organization for purposes of facilitating different activities within the organization. For example, you need a desk in the office. You need, let's say, a computer in your office. You need writing materials. You need phones to communicate with clients, and many other physical resources. You need lounges where you can relax and meditate, maybe during lunchtime, and things like that. You need what is called a panic room, where in the event you feel you are very angry, you can go to that panic room and shout so that you relieve your stress as an employee. Because the moment you are too angry, you might end up even beating your manager, and that is not good. That will lead to what is called disciplinary action. Then the last one is what we call the human capital or human resource. Human capital, these are the people who are working, or the employees, in simple terms, employees who are working for that particular institution. You need to take care of your employees so that they can take care of the business. So once you understand or you do your analysis well on different resources that are required, you can easily coordinate those resources and allocate those resources so that the resources that you allocate will be maximized. Sometimes you might find employees are normally very lazy, and they might end up wasting some resources within the organization. And this is a very common phenomenon when you go to some organization, where every day you find different employees carry resources and they take those resources to their houses or homes. And that is normally referred to as a pilferage, where you steal. Every day you take a pen, you go with the pen to your house, or you take something and you go with it to the house. After 1 year, imagine if you take one pen every day. In 1 year, you'll have taken more than 300 pens. When you look at the cost of those pens, let's say a pen goes for 50 shillings. So you'll have taken 300 times 50 pens. And imagine if you are 100 employees, how much is that? So you end up misusing the resources, and later you start complaining that you do not have resources to maximize your operation. So the term organizing process refers to the work of determining how best to arrange and utilize your resources in order to achieve the desired result. So organizing process is the way you try to organize or arrange or utilize your resources, so that at the end of the day, you understand this is what I'm going to use. This is the step that I'm going to follow in order to arrange and utilize those resources so that you can get the desired result at the end of the day. So in order to accomplish this, you need to do the following. Number one is dividing up tasks, which is normally referred to as division of labor. Remember, in a particular department or in an organization, we have different people who do different functions. So you need to, for you to be able to maximize your operation, you need to divide the labor so that every employee should know exactly what they are going to do in terms of the work, it's normally called the work, allocation of work. There's a name that they use. Then another thing is departmentalization. This is where you are grouping jobs and employees, where we have similar activities can be done with a particular department. Let's say you can departmentalize using functions, where we have procurement function, where people who have the experience and the know-how of procurement will be given a certain department. If you are in human resource and you have your human resource experience, you'll also be given another department and things like that. So basically you are grouping similar activities so that these activities will be done in a particular department. Then the other thing is assigning authority and responsibility. And this is normally called delegation. In simple terms, delegation is where your manager or your supervisor will allocate a certain activity to you so that he will give you instructions on what to do, and you will have to do that activity. And that is what is called a delegation. So let us look at the organizational process. Let us look at the organizational process. So organizational process. So the first step is job design. So you need to come up with a design. For example, when you are constructing a house, the best thing you can do is to come up with the design of that house. So this design will give you a snippet view of what is expected at the end of the day, so that once you start that job, you exactly know what you need to do, what is the expectation you need to do, and many other issues within the organization. So it becomes easy to be able to achieve all that. Then the other step is departmentalization. Once you have the design for the job, this job will be designed depending on the various functions that you want to achieve. This will form the basis of the departments that you are going to organize, different departments. And that is why I talked about maybe finance, engineering, ICT, and other departments. The next step is the delegation step. And delegation here, we talked about authority, where you give authority to people. And once you give them the authority, they'll be able to do those activities that you have allocated to them. Then span of management is another step. And span of management basically talks about the people who report to you. For example, as a manager, you have people who are supposed to report to you. So once you know those people, it will be easier for you to organize them so that they know exactly what is required of them. And once they achieve what you gave them to achieve, they will be able to bring the information to you. And that calls for what is called the span of management. Then we also have what is called the chain of command. Chain of command basically is the authority. What you or who is supposed to report to who and at what time. So as earlier we said, organizing plays a very critical role. And the moment you have a good framework for organizing, it is going to benefit the organization in a big way. So the first importance of organizing is that it enhances transparency. How does it enhance transparency? Number one, remember, this is all about resource allocation. So if you put your strategies right and you are able to organize all these resources in the best way possible without any interest in your mind, then it will lead to some level of transparency. And transparency basically is that you are sharing all the relevant information that is required so that everybody knows what you are going to allocate, so that at the end of the day, you don't divert resources to your own farm or to your house. So once you have a good organizing framework in place, it will enhance transparency in your organization. Then the other thing is that it will enhance or it will lead to business being easy to grow and expand. Remember, for you to maximize as an organization, what you actually need is organizing your resources to the best of your ability. And once you do that, it becomes easy to grow and expand. Why am I saying this? Because you already have the resources that you need. So you need to use those resources that are scarce to be able to maximize your operation. And once you maximize, then it means you will be able to grow in the easiest way possible. The other importance of organizing is that it avoids overlaps, confusion, and delays. Remember, you'll be able to organize the people who are supposed to do those activities. You'll give those people the things that they will require. Let us use an example here that you can understand. Let's use which department? Human resource department. So in human resource department, you'll need to hire people. Once you hire human resource personnel, you'll be able to you'll train them. So once you train them, you will develop, you'll place them, placement, and you also give them the resources that they require. So in human resource, we have different personnels. For example, we have talent search, talent acquisition. It's normally called acquisition. Which other one do you know? Yes, Wendy. We have welfare. Yes, Wendy, I'm waiting for you. Welfare personnel. So these ones are the ones who deal with the employee welfare. Personnel. Yes, another one. We have training and development. Those who deal with training and development. Yes. Which other one? John Mudoni. So talent acquisition, welfare, personnel, training and development. We have, there are many. Employee resourcing, is it there? Employee resourcing. So all these are human resource activities. So once we have another one here, let me see. Employee relations, yes, we have employee relations. So all these are functions within the larger human resource department. So once you have all these activities together, it becomes easy to be able to allocate specific resources for those people. For example, somebody who is in talent acquisition, the main activity is to look for new talents and bring those talents to the organization. For example, if you are in welfare, your main focus is to ensure that employees' welfare is taken care of. For example, their work environment, any complaints, anything. Then we also have the training and development. These are human resource personnel who have been given the responsibility of developing trainings for employees so that every year you have the various training requirements that are needed for you as an employee in different departments. Then we also have employee resourcing. Their main focus is to allocate different resources to employees who come on board. Then employee relations. These are personnel who have been given the responsibility of trying to advise or counsel employees. Remember, in our work environment, sometimes we experience a lot of mental issues because of the market dynamics and many other things. So sometimes employees might be facing challenges and they don't want to speak. You can have a whole department that will help to listen to employees and try to reason with them so that you don't lose hope along the way. So once you have organizing function in place, it becomes easier to be able to avoid activities that overlap each other. Activities that you might find that people in different departments are doing the same activity. So as organizing, you can easily organize all these activities and give one department to do that on your behalf. It will also lead to avoidance of confusion, where you are not confused in any way. It becomes easier for you in the organization. Then it will also lead to no delays, because once you allocate the resources, you are off to go and you can easily maximize what you want to achieve at the end of the day. Then another importance is it leads to what is called specialization. Specialization. Remember, we talked about job design. So you can design your job in a way that will lead to specialization, where you have experts in a particular area. For example, you might be having experts who are in engineering. So they are specialized in engineering. And within engineering, we also have other forms of engineering. We have mechanical engineering. We have electrical engineering. We have civic engineering and many others. So it will help you to specialize in a particular area. And that is why when you go to most of these complex organizations or big organizations, the likes of Safaricom, the likes of Equity, or even KCB, there's a lot of specialization. For example, if you are in IT, you may be doing maybe cyber security and things like that, or you can be dealing with software engineering. You can also be dealing with hardware and things like that. So it becomes easy to be able to maximize your potential. Then another thing is effective administration. Effective administration. It becomes easy for you to administer. Administration basically is office-related activities. So once you have a good organizing in place, it becomes easy to administer various functions within the organization. Then we are talking about coordination. You can easily bring different activities and people together and try to coordinate these activities. Just a minute. You can coordinate different activities, and organizing will help you to easily do the coordination for purposes of maximizing everything in that organization. So I don't want to start another subtopic because we won't finish. We won't finish. But anyway, let me just highlight the principles so that next time when we come, we shall go into detail. We have different principles that guide us in organizing. We have what is called the principle of formalization. We have the principle of specialization. And we also have principle of command and control. We have another principle called the span of control. Then the principle of scalar chain, principle of unity of command, and we also have the centralization principle. So when we come next time, we shall start with the principles so that we understand in details what those principles mean. So this time I want to take questions.